right now we're talking about there's a pastor right now in the Bay Area who's under scrutiny because his son came to him who works in the youth ministry and confided in his father, who is also the senior pastor of the church. And he confided in his father and said that he is attracted to children. But I haven't acted on it, Dad. I'm just attracted to him. I've never touched him. I'm just attracted to him. So when word got out, now let me tell you how this word actually got out. There was a writer who actually ended up writing and telling this story. And guess who the writer was? The writer's name is Daniel, who wrote the story about the church and the pastor and the son. And it's actually the pastor's transgendered son who ended up revealing this story to the world and exposing his father for not saying anything or doing anything to his brother, because his brother also came out to him as well. So tell me, what would you do? So now the church found out that the dad knew about his son being attracted to children, but claiming he never touched the children. The church board members wanted to know, why didn't the pastor tell them, so they could actually contact CPS because they are mandated reporters. Was it the father's job to report it to the board members if no crime had been committed? Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. Which name are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Wanda, and I'm calling from Antelope, California.
Hi, Wanda.
Hi. As a parent, first, what I would do is remove him from the position of dealing with kids. Then that they are mandated to report. However, he had not acted on it. Therefore, he did the right thing by getting his son therapy and trying to assist him with a little help. But to remove him completely away from children would have been the first step.
So, as a parent, so what hat do you have on right now? Do you have your father hat on and the parent hat?
Exactly,
okay.
Both.
You gotta
and
be
my
able.
praying hat.
I know that's right. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? If your child came to you and you were a pastor of a church and your child comes to you and say that they are attracted to children, I haven't touched any of them, I haven't done anything, I just have an attraction, I have a desire for children, but I'm not doing anything. What would you do as a parent and pastor? Is that a sticky situation for you? Was the father wrong for not telling the board members about his son? Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Lady Charmaine. My name is Nicole. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Nicole?
I am doing great. So I have a really stern view on this because I was a victim of molestation at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who has that desire it's a sickening desire.
Mm-hmm.
They should not be in a position where they are interacting with anyone whom is a youth or whom will trigger that attraction. So need be, if they need to be in some kind of therapy or where they are completely away from that, that would be the best for that situation.
Right.
However, it is very hard to say that because you would have to take this person away from society in itself. Also, men who are attracted to children, if you notice, they're attracted to women who have the underdeveloped bodies, who may have the smaller breasts or different things of that sort. It's just, it's a mental health issue that is not addressed, that definitely needs more time and consideration, and it's just an awful sickness. That's the best way for me to do it. Yes, the pastor, he should have reported it to the board members that this person is dealing with this. We're going to remove them so that we will not be a liability. And as him being a father, he should have said, son, I am going to get you the necessary resources that you need so you can feel better or so that you can better yourself.
But he did. He sought out a clinical counseling for his son. So on the back end, without the church knowing, he was seeking services and resources for his son. The church was just upset, the board members, because the father did not tell them what was going on with the son.
But then with that, also, there is a Privacy Act. Discreetly of something without disclosing that person's full information. However, a congregation of church, generally it's going to be a congregation of men. So that would have spread like fire. And it could have been more of an embarrassment or something of that sort for that person. So it's really a catch-22. It's really, really hard.
True.
In that retrospect, because they would have, well, who's the person? I work for a board.
Correct.
And when I tell you the board that I work for is a rumor mill, that's exactly what it is.
And I'm sure the pastor knew that. I'm sure he knew that if he revealed that it was his son, going through that, only God knows what would have happened. But sis, thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, you are welcome. You have a great day. Love your show.
Too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Huh?
Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I ain't going to say my name, but I was just going to comment on the pastor or the preacher or whoever he is. One thing about it is that he's a person of faith, right?
Correct.
You got to understand that he hears these problems from other people all the time. What did he do about them? So go ahead and tell the board members and everybody that his son is, whatever he is, and get him some help like he did. But he should have just went on and told the folks.
But it's really hard to just go and just tell people about your kids. I know, because that's when you have children, it's a difficult situation. And some things you try to keep in-house. I understand the son was also in the church too, because that's where the line, it gets murky. So it's not like things just happening in your house. It's also the church house dealing with other people's children, vulnerable children. And a lot of times children can be groomed at a very young age not to say anything. So although he might have told his dad, and it seems like to me it was a call for help. The reason why it sounds like it was a call for help, because he's struggling so deeply.
God. Yeah, preach to me, baby. Preach to me.
I ain't preaching to you. I'm just saying, it was a call for help. And as parents, you do want to try to help your children, without putting everybody in their business.
Well, there's another thing, too, but not letting the board know either. You know what I mean? The board needs to know that everybody's supposed to be honest. Why not? If it was somebody else's kid, he probably would have said, George is whoop-de-whoop-whoop.
Because, we protect our own before we'll put somebody else's child out there and we'll protect our own. Everybody do that.
Well, women do that and some men do that. But when your kid is wrong sometime, you got to go ahead and admit he was wrong.
And that's true, because I've had to do that too. So that is so true. But thank you, brother, for calling in.
I love you, Richmond.
Thank you, Easter Hill. What's up? No problem. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. This is Dee from Sacramento. I agree. I agree with you, and I agree with other callers. I don't think he should have told the board. Because that would have been like a whole another can of worms opened up and a whole lot of resentment. But I think the son, like you said, he called out for help because he could have acted on that. But he came to his dad and told him how he felt, because it's a lot of predators that they act on it, but he didn't.
Right.
He wanted. He was crying for help.
Correct. Right. So he wanted help. Before he did anything.
Right. And I think the dad did the right thing. He got him therapy. He kept an eye on him. So what I do? Why tell the board? Because you got people on these boards that are really nasty. They were like, "Girl, did you know what's going on? Girl, do you know? Girl," and then you go for one thing, and then they twist the whole story around, and they were like, "Then he did this, and he ain't did
That's
nothing."
That's right. He touched 2 girls yesterday. You know what I mean? So it's called telephone.
No,
correct.
So he did the right thing. What more? I mean, even if I believe. Even if it wasn't his kid, he still wouldn't have did it, because of the law.
Right.
I think he would have handled it just like he did.
Correct. That's true. Thank you so much, Dee, for calling in.
You're welcome.
Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Sacramento.
Hey.
My husband's a minister. And in one respect, yes, he doesn't owe the board anything. Because as a pastor, when he talks to someone, whether it's his son, because not only that was his son, he was also his son's pastor. And he is not to reveal what they talk about. If somebody else in the church had went to him and talked to him, he can't go back and tell the other people what this person came to him about their problem. That is totally out of line. What he did was get his son help, make sure that his son is not around children. That he did everything that he was supposed to do. And anybody who thinks any differently,
he continued to work in the youth ministry.
That's what his father did wrong. And in reality, he should immediately took him out of the youth ministry. because you're tempting someone that already has a problem.
Right. Like having somebody work in the liquor store and you know they're alcoholic or got an issue with alcohol.
Right. But as far as telling someone or notifying people, he shouldn't have. He should have took him out of the youth ministry. You know, back in the day, you know, if a girl got pregnant, they made her go before the church and apologize. And she couldn't do this, she couldn't do that. She couldn't sing in the youth choir no more because she had a baby. Well, in this respect, he should not have been in the youth ministry anymore.
Correct. I totally agree.
That right there is what where I possible. But as far as him telling someone, he could not technically tell anybody, because if you went to him and you was he was your pastor, and you had something that was bothering you or something that was going on in your life, would you want him to tell everybody?
True. Nope, not at all.
You know, so you can't say he should have told the board. He should have taken him out of the youth ministry and got him help.
And the dad he sought clinical help for his son, so he was doing what he could as a father to get his son help. Sis, thank you so much for calling in. So that is what we are talking about today on the Lady Charmaine Live Show. We are talking about there's a pastor in the Bay Area who was under scrutiny because his son came to him to let him know that he was attracted to children, but he hadn't touched any of the children. He just had these urges and these desires, and his father sought on his own to get his son help. Was the father wrong for not telling the board and sitting his son down? We're talking about that on the Lady Charmaine Live Show.
Okay. All right. First, I want to say that I got to respect that guy for confessing that, okay? That doesn't excuse it, but I have to respect it because that had been difficult to do. However, the father, I know how we parents are, how we think about children, but he should have had him removed because at the same time he tried to protect his son, who was he considered protecting those children? Because that's a strong temptation, and at least the son at least had the honesty to say something before something happened.
Correct.
Where his father allowed him to stay where it could have happened, and thank God that it didn't.
I agree.
So I believe he should have removed him from that ministry. Oh, yeah.
That is so true. Hi, we're back with the second hour of the Lady Charmaine Live Show, and I'm your host, Lady Charmaine. And we are talking about, there's a local pastor in the Bay Area, and what happened was his son, who works in the youth ministry, actually confided in his father by telling his dad that he actually was attracted to children. So his father went on and decided to go ahead and get his son some clinical help without notifying the board, and the son was able to continue to work in the youth ministry. If that was your child, how would you have reacted to that, knowing that you are the senior pastor of the church and your son or daughter comes to you with this type of information?
Hey, this is Cheryl. How are you?
Good,
I'm
and you?
from Sacramento.
Hello.
I'm great, thank you. Well, my comment is Dad should have loved his son unconditionally and got him help. However, he should have removed him out of the children's ministry. He should not have allowed him to continue to work with the children because, like I said, the other caller said, the temptation, an ounce of provision is worth a pound of regret. So he should have pulled him out. He didn't have to tell the whole deacon board or anybody, but to pull his child out of there and let him do any other ministry in the church, just not children.
Okay, so with him having that desire for children, because you have a lot of people that have desires. They cheat on their wife, and they have a strong desire for women. Do you tell the brother you can't come to church because we got a church full of women? We're basically 95% women.
No, I won't tell him he can't come to church, but you ain't coming around my kids,
right?
Because a woman can more so speak up for herself than a child. I'm far back, but I was director of children's ministry.
Correct.
And we knew of something. Our pastor spoke with that person. That person gave our pastor permission that I knew to protect our children. No, the board didn't know. Nobody else knew. So that person couldn't help me set up, do nothing with my kids. But we loved him in every other aspect of life because we all have something that's going on.
Correct.
And when you have a really good pastor like we had, that we could go to him and talk about anything and everything, and all you go get is a now, Cheryl, and what the word says. None of my information was ever put out there. It was all confidential.
Right, that's good.
But because I was director of children's ministry, our pastor told that person, I need your permission permission to let our director know, there's a little situation to protect our kids. And he was fine with it.
And given accountability, because I think that was a real sticky situation, because if the son was still working with the kids and no one was aware, not even the youth workers were aware of his temptations. And so there could be a weak moment that he can actually give into that temptation because he has no accountability. The only person that knows is his father, and no one else knows to look out for him. So that's a good point. Thank you, sis.
Yes. You're welcome. Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye.
So what would you do if your child came to you to tell you? Because there is a pastor in the Bay Area. His son came to him to let him know that he's attracted to children. And that son was working in the youth ministry with kids. Never pulled the son out from the youth ministry. He just on his own decided to get his son some clinical help and used outside resources without notifying the board that his son had this temptation. The board is upset because the father did not notify them regarding this situation, because the board is saying, well, we are mandated reporters, but the son hadn't committed a crime yet. The son hadn't touched any children yet. What would you do if your child came to you and you were the senior pastor of a church? Give me a call. Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, I don't want to say my name, but I'll say I'm calling from Sacramento.
Okay.
I think that he was within his rights to not tell the board. However, what I haven't heard from any of your listeners is the word.
Well, you go ahead and give the word. That might have been your job. So what's the word?
The word in Matthew 5 says, and if I could just paraphrase a short version.
Please do. We don't need the whole roll.
It says that, I say unto you, whosoever looketh on a woman and lust after her committed adultery in their heart. So I think this can translate into pedophilia. You ever look at a child to commit pedophilia, committed pedophilia in their heart.
That's the scripture. Now, that's the word.
Now, that's the word now. So that's what I think. If you decide that you're not going to tell the board, and I think that's within your right, then you got to move them out.
Correct.
Now, if you leave them in there, you should tell the board.
I think that's where, you know what, that's a good line right there. So if you decide that they're going to stay, then guess what? They need to know.
They need to know.
That's good. Thank you so much. I love the word. I can't argue with the scriptures. Scriptures is scriptures, and that's God's word, and that's it. That's all. God said it. I believe it. That settles it. If you look on a child to lust after them, you've already committed it in your heart. And the young man, you could probably realize he probably really was struggling. That's why he went to his dad. Because anytime somebody goes to someone to confess something that serious, an attraction to children, which you know that can bring shame to you, you know he was really struggling. So he should have, to me, he should have been pulled out of that youth ministry, because that's a struggle. When somebody comes to you and say, I'm struggling with drugs and alcohol, I haven't done anything, that's a serious struggle for somebody to come to you and say those things. And it's hard for men to open up. We all know that. It's hard for a man to open up. So for when a man comes and open up to you, see, women, we can come into your office, we sit down, we cry. You got to have boxes of tissue because we cry, snot, and we do all that. Men don't necessarily do that. So for you to go to your dad, who is the senior pastor, and you probably know what the repercussions could be. And I'm wondering, you guys, was the son surprised that the father did not sit him down? Do you know? I wonder, was he struggling with that for a long time and struggling to go talk to his father, right? And then your dad say, okay, you can continue to work in the ministry. I'll just get you some help. Hi, you're live with Lady Charmaine. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
My name is Dwight, and I'm calling from Sacramento. And I just turned on the radio.
Okay.
And heard what was happening. And the scripture that came to me was, let him without sin cast the first stone. And so that's where I stand on that. I also, there's two. I also stand, he should have mentioned it, but then on the other hand, maybe it's something that he shouldn't have mentioned, I'm not sure, but I just say, hey, who without
But do you think the son should have at least been pulled from the youth ministry since he was having desires for children?
Yes, I do. Yes,
okay, that's what I want to know. Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being who you are.
Oh, thank you.
you made the whole city bright. Thank you, Miss Lady Charmaine.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.